So, Zhang versus Wilder. And I suspect that Zhang would be just as drop drained as he was in the last poker fight. Well, but Wilder is going to be allowed to ride it to the gills, right? Because as I stated in the last videos, right, that Zhang really fears and hates China, especially this current China, right? Because you know how great we are in the real history provide what haplogroups, right? And the fact that when one of the only nation on superpower nation on this planet is not Zhang. None of our central bank, none of China's central bank is Zhilei. And none of our China's biggest bank is Zhilei, and we have no American military base. And America will know it's like the epicenter of Zog today, right? Most of the biggest bank are Zhilei. Their banks, the central bank is not state-owned like China, right? The public is privately owned, at least part privately owned, and Zhilei, right, is run by Zionists. So, and their government licks Israel like a dog, right? And they have so much Zionist in the government, right? But China is not that, right? And also China is already, CP already agreed to use their communism, the J communism, right? It's still not enough. It's still too much big strat. And if zhilei was allowed to be roided up, he would have easily crushed roided Parker, and he would have easily blasted through roided Fury, right? And it would be so famous that, and it would be so influential by that point that he would inspire so much normies in China to be ethno-nationalists, right? And the fact that he would debunk so much of his Zog lies about Chinese people, right? And the J Zionist absolutely fears that, right? So now they will let a strong, relatively ethno-nationalistic and Chinese figure get that popular. No way they would let him get that popular, right? So that the drop drain him. But the normies would not understand this, right? They saw that our shape with Zhang was terrible guessing, contrast to the Zhang from the second choice fight, as they was just explain, as they would just think that Zhang simply didn't train right, when in reality that his drug drained, like many other cases in the corrupt boxing history, right? And for who he is politically. But Wilder is not to get outraged because his people, right, represent zero danger to Zog. In fact, instead of the other number one tool of Zog was this fucking Kalergi plan, right? Which one know, those who knows, right? Will know. But the normies will just not understand such things, right? This, right? Because most normies are sheeps. And I suspect that the reason why Wilder really got his courage to take this fight after initially ducking Zhang for the March fight in February, right? Ducked Zhang because I suspect that he thought, and I thought that Zhang that was gonna fight in March was gonna be the roided Zhang from the second choice fight, right? And deep down, even he himself knows that he's got no chance against that version of Zhang, right? But instead, we got everybody saw, right? Out of shape, drop drink Zhang was terrible. stamina, and it wasn't able to throw full power punches, right? So that's why he really got his courage to take this fight. But even this drop-trained Zhang would easily knock Water the fuck out with one punch mainly because Water has literally no defense, right? Even when he's hitting the pads, he's dropping his hands, man. Water just has this bad habit, right? Water has no head of movement. Water has little defensive head movement, right? And he has this really bad habit of dropping his hands. And he's clumsy, and he's very poorly balanced, right? Can't defend, can't counterpunch, right? That's why a fucking drug-drained old man with heart problem, Luis, old man, old tease, right? He was nearly knocked the fuck out, right? And Fury was slumbering and coming forward. Roy Fury was lumbering and coming forward, knocked him out, right? What Zhang gets his hands up, right? And he knows how to get his head off the center line, right? When his opponent is throwing right hand at him. He knows how to move his weight into his back foot, right? And then counters with a straight left. And he got the check right hold, which can catch the opponent when he's throwing that right, or straight right, right? And when it comes to offense, right? Wilder is a one-trick pony, right? He has only got that naked 1-2, which he telegraphs from the other side of the world, right? It's terrible at saying his punches up, right? And has no uppercut, he has no hooks. He doesn't know how to throw hooks, right? He's a slapper, right? He can only throw a 1-2 straight punch, which he telegraphs terribly, right? You can see that coming from miles away. And Zhilei Zhang has way better setups, right? Has way better traps. His range control is better, right? And he doesn't need to telegraph like Wilder to get power into his punches, right? To get the same or way more power to his punches, right? And when it comes to power, as we all saw in that Parker fight, right? Wilder roided the Water when he was stung, roided Parker with big clean rabbit punch to his back of the head, right? While Zhang easily knocked Parker down with a straight left to the face, right? Roided Parker, right? So even this strong trains that hits way harder than roided Wilder. And so much being said about fucking Water's marvelous power, right? Quote unquote, marvelous power, right? Everybody that got KO'd by one punch from Wilder has been knocked out before, except that old man with heart medication or tease who's drunk drained. Not a lot on roids, right? Every single one of them has been knocked out before. Other than old man Ortiz with heart medication, right? So it's different when you're knocking out his cans and when you're fighting a top-level fighter, right? And no matter how sensational you're knocking his bombs out, right? Even when it comes to every time when Deontay Wilder steps up, right? Fury couldn't even fucking KO Fury, a weak chin Fury, even when Fury's cutting a lot of weight down to 250s, right? He couldn't even KO that Fury. Will get dropped by a cruiserweight, right? And Zhang, even Zhang that used to cut a lot of weight to 260, right? Or 250, right? Had a better chin that Fury was got some weight because right. He never got dropped by fucking cruiserweight. It was not even big puncher at cruiserweight. Steve Cunningham, right? Was on roids, right? So when they both stopped cutting a lot of weight, Zhang's chin is still gonna be better, if not way better, right? And Joyce hits at least as hard as Wilder. Right? Joyce knocked out Parker while Wilder could even stomp Parker with fucking rabbit punch, man. This fucking so-called fucking biggest punch, heaviest punch is bullshit, man. Even if that Parker was on roids and the Parker that for Joyce was a natty and beaten Parker, right? Still, while Joyce knocked out Parker while Wilder could even stomp Parker with a rapid punch to the back of the head, right? So Joyce with roided Joyce with advanced punch techniques hits at least as hard as roided Wilder with advanced punch techniques, right? Which they both already got, right? And that roided Joyce hit Zhang, caught Zhang with his best big right hand on the jaw, right? And Zhang was merely stunned by the punch, right? So Wilder ain't gonna even knock him down, even snatty Zhang, right? And that night is ate Joyce's flush right hand, right, without getting severely hurt. And that Joyce hits just at least as hard as roided Wilder, right? And I don't care how sensationally his Wilder's, how marvelous Wilder's knocking his bum out, right? I mean, Sergey Kovalev, right? So Kovalev was even more sensational, knocking out subpar oppositions, right? They literally killed people, right? Who cares if Wilder's knocking some cans out cold with one punch, man? And Kovalev, Prime Kovalev was more sensational at knocking out subpar Wilder. And even that Kovalev couldn't ever KO'd a top level good chin fighter, right? So I didn't really get this fucking hype about Wilder's power, man. His power at the top level is not very effective, man. It's not effective. I mean, I don't even believe that he hits that much harder than Alex Pereira, man, from UFC, man. But Pereira knocking out top level good chin fighters, right? Back to back, right? At 205 division, right? Easily. Pereira was very similarly built, right? Tall, like he's stronger than Wilder, right? They're both tall and lanky, right? And he's just as good punch technique. While Wilder's struggling with Fury, who used to have a weak chin, right? And Parker could stomp Parker with a rabbit punch, right? So Zhilei Zhang has taken loads of clean shots from Hrgovic, another big puncher, right? Took big shots of Joyce without getting hurt, and took loads of clean shots, some big clean shots from Hrgovic without getting hurt, right? So this thing has way better chin than fucking Wilder, right? Has a way better chin than Wilder, right? Wilder's fucking glass jaw. Nearly got KO'd by an old man, by an off the juice, drunk drain, old man with heart medication, with heart problems, Resortees nearly knocked Wilder the fuck out. And the fact that he got KO'd by a known guy who's not a big puncher, right? Like Fury, right? Some would even see that he's fat-fisted, right? and Wilder got killed by someone like Fury. Imagine what a real big puncher and the biggest puncher, right, Zhang would do to you, right? Zhang would easily knock Wilder out cold in the first round, right? Would do to you, right? And Zhang has better timing, right? And there's so much said about fucking Zhang's slow that so much has been said about Zhang's slow feet, right? He's still caught really fast. Parker was just as fast as Wilder and way more skill, right? Caught him clean, right? And put him down with one shot, right? While Roger Wilder got completely dominated by the Roy Parker, right? See what if he would have easily catch Wilder, right? Wilder's got more speed, right? And right, I give him that, right? But timing beats speed, right? So Zhang is gonna have a much easier time catching Wilder clean than Wilder's gonna have. But Wilder's gonna have a much harder time catching Zhang clean, like Zhang with his high guard, right? And when Zhang lands, right, the first punch he lands clean on Wilder's gonna be out cold. He's gonna spark Wilder the first round, right? And put some permanent neck damage into him. Even the strong drink Zhang. And let's just take a dive because as strong as he holds his political views, it seems, right? And if he holds his profession as strong, right? And as the day before, Zhang absolutely hates China and would never, right, as long as they're still in power, they would never let a strong and relatively ethno-nationalistic and Chinese figure like Zhang get popular, right? So they must threaten him to take a dive. And the fact that Anglo-cock shady piece of shit Frank Warren is not picking Zhang as a fucking captain, right, is also a major red flag. And the fact that they're fighting on the Zog land of Saudi Arabia. Again, right? Fucking Saudi Arabia's American military base and caters to Israel, right? Like, that's another fucking major red flag, right? So they might actually threaten Zhang to take a dive this time, right? Like Mike Scott and Barry Stavern, right? Like Hanani is, right? But as long as it doesn't take a dive, as long as this is a real fight, Zhilei is gonna knock Wilder out in the first round easily, right? And put some permanent neck damage into him brutally, right? Moving on to Fury versus Usyk, right? And I suspect that both of these fighters are gonna be allowed to ride it to the gills because both of their fighters represents very little. Their people, their political stance represents very little danger to Zhang. Right? The UK's literally where fucking Rothschild resides in, right? And got American military base, right? And UK and America basically two epicenter of Zog Carnegie plan these days. Right? So UK is totally zogged out, right? And Ukraine is literally run by Jew. And neither of these guys are anti-Zog, at least currently, right? So I suspect that both of these guys will be allowed to ride it up. Which means that both will be in great shape and have great stamina, or at least both will have great stamina, if not in good shape, right? And I don't think either will be taking dive, but I really think that this is a 50-50 fight because I can see Fury catching Usyk coming in. Like, if Roy Dubois was able to catch Roy fucking Usyk coming in, right, with that body shot, right, and Joshua was able to catch Usyk coming in, sometimes you bet that Fury, it's actually, you don't even have to bet, man. Fury, which easily, can easily do what those two have done, right? Fury has although Fury don't hit nearly as hard as Roy Dubois or Roy Joshua, right? He has a superior timing. He has a superior timing, just judging by eye test, right? So Fury is gonna catch Usyk coming, but I can also see Usyk getting to Fury's sloppy defense with his straight left, right, off a lead hand feint, or just a straight left hand of a lead hand measure, right? Because if auto wadi and sloppy wilder caught you, right, you bet Usyk is gonna catch you easily. Usyk can of course catch you easily, right? So, I really think this is a 50-50 fight. Also, I really think that those guys will have their moments in the fight. But I don't see neither knocking each other down because neither are big punchers, right? And although Usyk fixed some of his punch technique since the first Joshua fight, right? He still don't have the natural power, right? He's still not a big puncher, right? And same goes for sort of Fury, right? And I think that if Fury is to beat Usyk very convincingly, right, he would relatively convincingly, right, he would have to get back to his former self that fought Klitschko, right? Because the version that fought Wilder, right? And Wilder only learned his punch technique from Vladimir Klitschko, right? And everything else is a bootleg Klitschko, right? It's way worse, right? His technique, skill, way worse, right? And Fury still got caught by that guy, right? Which means that his legs are clearly not as good as before. Although his punch resistance is better, right? Now he cuts much less weight, right? His strength is definitely a lot stronger, right? He's definitely learned more technique and getting more strength to bully someone on the inside, right? With his fucking wrestle box holding and hitting, right? Grabbing at the back of head. It's fucking dirty tactics, right? He's better at that now. And maybe some of that can work against Usyk, right? But when they are boxing, right? When they're boxing, Tyson Fury would really have to get back to that for himself to convincingly, relatively convincingly beat Usyk, because Roy Usyk is very athletic, right? He's probably the most athletic guy in the division, right? So Tyson Fury will be on his A game, as they say, right? Although I don't think that Fury will have much success if he's decided coming forward against Usyk, right? Because he's very lumbering coming forward, and it's so good, and although it'll work against Wilder, sloppy Wilder, right? Usyk actually, as Steve Cunningham, right? Usyk actually has a defense. Usyk is actually more coordinated than both, right? More balanced and way better fucking head movement and blocking, right? And maneuver, right? Footwork, maneuver out of positions where he would be getting trapped, right? And Fury is coming forward is really not great, right? And when it comes to chins, obviously Usyk has got a stronger chin, right? Despite Fury being so much bigger, Usyk has got a stronger chin, or should I say, a stronger neck, right? He took a flush right hand from Joshua in the second, Roy Joshua in the second fight, and it was merely stunned by it, right? So, all that, and it's faster than Fury, right? So, but I do see Tyson Fury having a much easier fight if he's on the back, if he's just waiting for Usyk to come in and trying to catch him along, right? Because Usyk would have to work much harder in that case, right? And Fury has very good timing and is very naturally coordinated when he's fighting his natural or his earlier adapted fighting ways, right? So I predict this fight as a draw, with the decision going to, right? But the decision part is the decision part is quite hard to predict, right? Because, although Fury maybe has enough connections to get a fucking decision over there, right? Usyk has got a strong backing, right? Those people around him seems to have gathered some connections, right? For British in Latvia, right? Regardless, and he got a decision there, as that fight was extremely close, right? He could have easily went to British if he were to favor British over Usyk, right? And he also got decision in Russia against Gassiev, right? And he also got decision against Joshua in the UK, right? And he also got a decision against Joshua in the second fight. And in the second fight, it was pretty close, right? It was much closer than in the first fight, right? And they could have easily robbed Usyk, but they didn't. But also that fight was at the height of the Ukraine-Russian war, right? But now, this Ukraine war is not the most talk about things anymore. So it's really hard to figure out which one will get a decision, right? And Fury, although he used to see some anti-GA stuff, right? But now he's toning it down, and Fury doesn't strike me as a guy, right? That when he hold his position and hold his views very strongly, right? Politically, he's not someone like zhilei who would just shout Chinese power, right? In the Tsar countries where they're actively promoting anti-Chinese hate, right? Zhilei was go to that country, right? Shout Chinese power and knock their people the fuck out, right? Fury is not that kind of person, right? He's not that kind of stubborn person politically, right? He's very slick person, right? He's very, in other words, he's very good at adapting to different political environment, right? Like he would say a lot of different things and act in a lot of different ways to please a lot of different fan base, right? So in that way, it's much like Vladimir Putin, right? And someone like Trump is much like a politician, right? And I think he has said some things or has acted a certain way to please that Turkey guy, right? So the Turkey guy seems to really get on his side, right? So I think he would edge out Usyk in this battle, right? In this shadow battle, so shadow warfare. So I would predict that Fury will win a split decision.